Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin continues this bullish breakout, we're getting extremely close to breaking out above this significant area of resistance as these Bitcoin on-chain charts are revealing what might be about to happen next for the price of Bitcoin. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about my exact Bitcoin trading strategy alongside Ethereum now getting extremely close to breaking out above this key Fibonacci level, while the price of Solana is already breaking out above this Fibonacci level on its way towards the next price target. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart, and right now we're actually getting somewhat close to possibly flipping the super trend indicator back into the green again, so keep that in mind. But at least over the last 1 day, not much has changed on this chart, and the same can be said about this weekly Bitcoin chart. At least for now, technically that bearish divergence is still there, but if, for example, we see a breakout here in the RSI and the price action, ideally with the RSI actually breaking out above this descending line of resistance, and even better if we make a higher high in the RSI on the weekly time frame, those will be invalidation signals to invalidate this bearish divergence. But at least just over the last 1 day, once again, not much has changed on this chart. But if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, obviously right now, and as I've been saying recently here on the channel, we're clearly within the recovery stage out of this correction in the price of Bitcoin. And that's simply due to the fact that in the MACD, we're actually moving closer towards a bullish crossover. As I've already been saying over the last couple of weeks, once again, we've been declining in the bearish momentum, moving towards the bullish direction, which is a sign of a recovery in the price of Bitcoin. And now, obviously, even though we've already seen a decent amount of bullish price action in the short term, we could potentially see more bullish price action to come in the coming weeks or months, especially if we confirm a bullish crossover, potentially at some point in the next 1 or 2 weeks at the current trajectory, at the current rate. Because if we're simply taking a look at the last couple of times, we've seen something very similar to what we're seeing right now in this indicator for the price of Bitcoin. Basically, by this point right here, by the time we were already declining in bearish momentum, we had already bottomed out for the pullback, for the correction. And at this point, we can clearly see, once again, we were already in the recovery stage. We were already starting to see bullish price action for the price of Bitcoin, but there was still a lot more bullish price action to come in the next few weeks or potentially months after we actually confirmed the bullish crossover, signifying more bullish momentum building. And so once again, we've not seen that just yet, but we are clearly within the recovery stage, as I've already been saying here on this channel. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, right now, as of recording this video, we're actually running into this major area of resistance based on the volume profile indicator sitting in between around 96 to 97,000, with honestly most of the resistance at pretty much exactly 96,000. And at least so far, as of recording this video, we are currently seeing a bit of struggle in the price of Bitcoin around that 96k level. So just keep that in mind. That is currently acting as resistance. But if we see a breakout here above 96k and ideally beyond 97,000, in that case, honestly, it's extremely likely we'll just continue well beyond 100,000, and potentially at that point, we're on our way towards all-time highs. And so we're basically at the last significant area of resistance right now for the price of Bitcoin between the current price and all-time highs. So just keep that in mind. And as for support to watch out for, I'll expect a lot of support based on this previous area of resistance flipping into new support. So if we were to see a pullback, I'm not saying this will happen, but if we pulled back down towards these levels, expect a lot of support in between around 86 to 88,000. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin is still perfectly playing out that major breakout from that descending line of resistance. So clearly this chart is looking bullish. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, technically speaking, the bullish divergence is still in play. It is still currently active, which means continue to expect a bullish relief, or at the very least, a bit of choppy sideways price action as the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And so obviously this bullish divergence, along with most divergences between the price and the RSI, is once again proving to be one of the most accurate signals out there almost all the time. Obviously, it's not 100% guarantee, but almost almost all the time, these bullish divergences work out very nicely, just like how these larger bearish divergences, for example, result in usually a decent amount of bearish price action, as we've seen throughout most of this year until just recently. But with that being said, here on the daily Bitcoin price chart, as of right now, we're actually just starting to get into overbought territories. We're basically on the edge of overbought territories, which means sometime soon we might be due to see a bit of a reset here in the RSI in order to basically reset back down towards more neutral levels. Now, technically, we're not yet in overbought. We still have a little bit more room towards the upside here, but basically, I'll not be surprised if at some point in the next few days, we start slowing down a little bit from all of the bullish price action just to reset the RSI. So basically losing a little bit of bullish momentum, maybe playing out a bit of sideways price action or maybe a slight little pullback, something like that, just to reset the RSI, which by the way, can potentially give us more room towards the upside later on. And obviously over the last couple of days, we can clearly see the price has slowed down at least a little bit from that previous bullish move right here. And that's also due to the fact that we are running into this major resistance here in between around 94,000 to 95,000 approximately, almost 96,000. And once again, we have a lot of resistance right here at around 96,000. And so that 96K level approximately is definitely the level to break here in order to see potentially much more bullish price action. And in case you're wondering, the next price target I'll be watching out for once we actually confirm a breakout above around 96,000 approximately, I'll be watching approximately 101,000, and then above that Fibonacci level at 101K, I'll be basically targeting around the all-time highs. If we're looking at the all-time highs based on these candle closes right here on the daily time frame, that's sitting at just above 106,000, around 106 to 107,000. Or if we're looking at the candle wick high, the actual all-time high, it's close towards around 110,000, just under 110. And just before talking about some other very important Bitcoin price charts today and talking about my exact Bitcoin trading strategy, first, if you want to take these trades like what I'm doing right here, personally, I'm taking this trade over on 2bit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $50,000 in trading rewards. But if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also claim a $30 sign up bonus and a 20% deposit rebate using the link below this video. And that's up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus. And on top of all of that, if you use the link below this video to 2bit, you're automatically upgraded to VIP level 1 trading fees, which basically means you get a massive discount on trading fees. You get lowered trading fees over on 2bit, but remember, only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, that first or second link below this video. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also BTNex as another exchange out there, another option that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to BTNex below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this sign up page where you can claim an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees forever over on BTNex. That is a massive fee discount which lasts for the lifetime of your account, but once again, only if you use that link. And also, in case you're wondering, BTNex is a no KYC exchange as well. But with that being said, taking a look at some other Bitcoin charts today. First of all, looking at this price chart, and I'll actually hide my face cam so you can see what's happening behind me. And this right here is a Glassnode chart showing futures open interest for the price of Bitcoin here. And in case you're new to all of this, basically open interest is essentially how much money is really building up on the derivatives market, on the futures market. So basically, if there's a lot of long positions and a lot of short positions that are currently open, that are active, then there's high open interest. And then on the other hand, when there's really not many people trading longs or shorts and basically volumes are low and basically most people are just trading on the spot market, then there's low open interest. And usually this open interest right here acts as a bit of a leading indicator for the price, especially recently. We can clearly see this open interest has been increasing before the price actually increases. The black line obviously is the price of Bitcoin. And so obviously some of this open interest is long positions, some is short positions. So some people here are obviously catching the bottoms with early long positions in order to trade the bullish moves towards the upside. And the rest of the traders are basically in short positions around the local lows, trying to short Bitcoin. And we could see recently more and more short positions are basically opening up alongside long positions. But if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin futures perpetual funding rates here, they're actually negative. And so what this tells us is that traders are paying a premium in order to short Bitcoin. That is right. There is a higher demand right now to short Bitcoin than what there is to long Bitcoin, despite seeing bullish price action. And so this is contributing to a short squeeze. And of course, I've already been talking about a short squeeze happening in the short term here since before all of the latest bullish price action. But these two charts in particular just further show the fact that we are already seeing a short squeeze, and that short squeeze will likely continue because open interest is continuing to increase, which means more trades are opening up while funding rates are negative, which means more short positions and higher demand for short positions right now. And so this is definitely something to pay attention to. Once again, it's further pointing towards a continued short squeeze. And of course, I've already been talking about that short squeeze happening since, once again, before this bullish price action here, thanks to the fact that we had a lot of liquidity building on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map just above the price of Bitcoin here in the short term. And obviously the price has already wiped out that liquidity that I've been talking about over the last 1 week. But now we have more liquidity building towards the upside, mainly sitting at around 100,000. And also now a decent amount of liquidity starting to build at around 106,000 to 107,000, so close towards all-time highs. And once again, in case you're new to all of this, usually, not always, but usually the price of Bitcoin tends to move towards where there's a lot of liquidity, especially if it's relatively close towards the price, and especially if it's on the same sort of trend and trajectory that the price is already heading. So basically, it's very likely that soon enough we'll see the price of Bitcoin back at 100,000 and potentially at these higher prices like 106k to 107k. And so this chart right here is pointing towards potentially more of a short squeeze, and these two charts right here are pointing towards a continued short squeeze, while we're also seeing a recovery play out here in the momentum in the price of Bitcoin. And so considering all of this information, what is my trading strategy right now for the price of Bitcoin? And well, right now I am simply long on the price of Bitcoin. And obviously I've been sharing this trading strategy very transparently here on the channel over the last few days for almost half a week now. It's basically since the moment I opened the trade, I shared it here on the channel just a couple of hours after I opened the trade. And then I did take a small amount of profits from the long position, just slightly reducing the size of the position around these previous highs at close towards around 94,000, but that was only slightly reducing the size of the position. So overall, of course, I'm still long on the price of Bitcoin. I didn't close the entire trade or anything like that. And in fact, over the last 1 day, the one change that I have made to this trade right here is simply increasing the stop loss. So previously the stop loss was slightly lower, but right now as the trade moves further into profits, I'm slowly increasing the stop loss further and further into profit, so that in the worst case scenario, I'm basically securing myself more profits. And so we can see here that in just a couple of days, this trade has already made over 5,000 USD in profits. So not too bad for just a relatively small Bitcoin long position here. But once again, I'm still clearly within the long position, which means overall, I'm simply bullish on the price. So yes, the price can still potentially struggle around this area of resistance. We've not yet seen that breakout. So expect the price to likely struggle around this area, and especially with the RSI on the daily time frame getting close to overbought. Just don't be surprised if maybe in the next few days we see a little bit of a cool off of some sort. But overall, once again, when we're talking about the next few weeks or the next few months, for example, I am indeed more bullish than bearish on the price of Bitcoin due to all of the factors that I've talked about in this video. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and right now Ethereum is following Bitcoin with a decent bounce here in the short term from this significant area of support sitting in between around 1.4k to 1550. So once again, we still have a lot of support at roughly 1,500, and as always, Ethereum will likely follow similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing, not the exact same price action, but if Bitcoin has a decent breakout in the short term, expect something similar for the price of ETH, which is obviously what what is playing out. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum chart right now, we're sitting right on the edge of potentially a major breakout beyond this important Fibonacci level of resistance, which is sitting at close towards around 1800, 1.8k. And once we finally see a confirmed breakout here, which we're getting very close to actually confirming, once that actually happens, then the next price target, the next major point of resistance to watch out for is sitting at around 2.1k. And now we could also find a small amount of resistance based on this high just here at around 1.9k, but once again the next significant level is 2.1k after we first confirm this breakout above 1.8k, which at least for now has not yet happened, but we're getting very close to seeing that happening. And once again, simply just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing. So like I said earlier, if Bitcoin, for example, continues the bullish divergence right here, sees a breakout above this resistance, in that situation, especially if Bitcoin breaks out above 96,000 with confirmation, expect a breakout for Ethereum as the most likely outcome if the same thing happens for Bitcoin. But with that being said, taking a look at Solana on the 3-day time frame, and right now Solana is still simply playing out this massive bullish divergence, so continue to expect a bullish relief as one of the most likely outcomes, or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. And if we're taking a look at the daily Solana chart, obviously right now Solana's already broken out above this 23.6% Fibonacci level and also the 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance, which at least in the short term is currently acting as some short-term support, and that's sitting at around $146 to $147. And like I said recently here on the channel, that was a significant change in price structure for the price of Solana, because not only are we breaking out above one Fibonacci level, we're also breaking out above a second Fibonacci level and creating a higher high in the price, which is the first major change in this trend that we've seen in months since pretty much almost the beginning of the year. And so the next price target, the next major point of resistance to watch out for the price of Solana here is sitting at approximately $167, and above that I'll be watching around $178 based on these highs right here, and above that I'll be watching the all-important golden pocket area of resistance sitting in between roughly 190 to 200. And once again, pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is most likely going to happen for Solana. So if Bitcoin is bullish, as we have seen over the last couple of weeks, we're likely going to play out something similar for the price of Solana, along with a lot of the major altcoins. And right now, it is worth pointing out that the daily Solana RSI is getting somewhat close to overbought territory, so keep that in mind. In the next few days or the next week, if we continue this bullish price action here, we might start entering into overbought, which means we're running out of room towards the upside in the immediate short term, and we're likely due to see a bit of a cool off sometime soon. But once again, we're not there just yet. I'm just pointing it out kind of early. But with that being said, taking a look at XRP on the 3-day time frame, and right now XRP is technically still playing out the larger bearish divergence on this 3-day time frame, as I've been saying for months now on the channel since almost the beginning of this year. But like I've said just recently, over the last couple of days, we're getting close to possibly invalidating this bearish divergence if we simply see a breakout here in the RSI, ideally forming some higher lows and higher highs in the RSI on the 3-day time frame. That would be an invalidation signal to help to invalidate the bearish divergence, telling us that we're finally starting a recovery out of this larger pullback. But technically speaking, on the daily time frame, we are still within this descending parallel channel, which is basically a bearish trend by definition, forming lower highs and lower lows. But during the descending parallel channel, of course, we're currently seeing a short-term bullish relief, just like a lot of the crypto market. And more recently, we have seen a breakout above the center line, which was acting as resistance, and that was sitting at around $2.08 approximately. And so I now expect support around that level, and also at approximately $2.15 based on previous resistance flipping into new support. And as for the next resistance to watch out for the upside here for the price of XRP, the next significant resistance is at around $2.45 to $2.50. But honestly, there's not much else to add here for the price of XRP. Not a lot has changed over the last one day. Once again, just expect similar price action to what Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market's doing. And with that being said, taking a look at Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now Chainlink is getting extremely close to breaking out above this very important area of resistance that has previously held the price down. And so, of course, this is based on the previous golden pocket area of support, which flipped into new resistance right here during the end of March. And we saw significant rejections in between around $15 to $15.50, especially that $15.50 level acting as very strong resistance. And obviously, over the last few days, we have seen the price of Chainlink exactly struggle in this area as expected. Clearly, we have slowed down at least a little bit over the last couple of days here from that major bullish move. But technically speaking, despite the fact that the price is running into this significant resistance, this bullish divergence is still active. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate this bullish divergence on the daily Chainlink chart. And so all we need to see now is once again that breakout above 1550, ideally confirming with a daily candle close above 1550. And even better would be if we actually flip that into new support. That would be extremely bullish for the price of Chainlink. And in that situation, we can just simply continue to play out the bullish divergence in a further bullish relief towards the upside. And the next price target beyond 1550 would be sitting at around 1750 to 1760 as also a significant point of resistance. And whether or not we see the breakout on the first attempt, either way, there's actually some good news here for the price of Chainlink, because first of all, if of course we see the breakout straight away here beyond 1550 actually confirm, that would be a major bullish signal once again, and actually a massive change in price structure, forming a higher high, basically reversing out of the bearish trend. But even if we don't break out on the first attempt, and let's just say we see a rejection and then break out on the second attempt, let's just say in that situation, we have a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern forming on the daily Chainlink chart. As we can see, we have a left shoulder, a head. All we need to see now is a possible right shoulder form and then a breakout in order to confirm an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which would be very bullish for the price of Chainlink, pointing towards price targets at much higher levels, like beyond $20. But once again, I want to make it clear that possible inverse head and shoulders pattern is not currently confirmed. We still actually have to see a rejection and then a breakout in order to potentially confirm that pattern. But I'm just pointing out we're possibly forming this pattern. So if we see a rejection here, it's not necessarily all bad news. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto like I'm doing right here to make easy profits in the crypto market, check out those exchanges, links down below if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto like what I'm doing right here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.